J.D. Vance blasts Democrats for their anti-ICE rhetoric. The Trump administration and Elon Musk team up once again, and the Coldplay concert couple is back in the news. I'm Daily Wire executive editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Thursday, September 25th, and this is Evening Wire.
Vice President J.D. Vance is calling out Democrats and left-wing media for ramping up the risk on immigration officials through their anti-ICE rhetoric. Among those cranking up the temperature, said the VP, is California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Here's what happens when Democrats, like Gavin Newsom did, say that these people are part of an authoritarian government. When the left-wing media lies about what they're doing, when they lie about who they're arresting, when they lie about the actual job of law enforcement, what they're doing is encouraging crazy people to go and commit violence.
Vance was referring to recent comments from Newsom on Stephen Colbert's left-wing late-night show, portraying ICE as a lawless group terrorizing and rounding up minorities.
That's happening in the United States of America. Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process, no oversight, zero accountability, happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here.
ICE officials revealed after the fatal anti-ICE shooting that attacks on officers are up more than 1,000%. Here's ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons talking to CNN after the shooting at the Dallas immigration facility Wednesday.
I've never seen anything like this in my law enforcement career. I've never seen threats on law enforcement, specifically ICE, increase the way it is. You know, we're up over 1,000% assaults on officers right now. And really just a lot of the talk that's out there, a lot of the rhetoric is just the violence directed towards law enforcement officers just trying to do their job. And we just keep seeing an increase step by step. You know, like I said, we had that shooting at the Alvarado facility, which is right outside Dallas, on July 4th, where they ambushed officers in military tactical gear under the guise of fireworks. And now we have this. And it just seems like it keeps getting worse and worse, and it has to stop.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has also sounded the alarm, saying the Dallas ICE facility shooting was clearly an attempted assassination of ICE officers. Here's the governor on Fox News.
Well, obviously, it's a tragedy. It's horrific. I view it as an attempted assassination on our ICE officers. And as you know, this is not the first time this has happened in the state of Texas. It's not the first time it's happened across the United States. And so we have a serious problem across this country where this violence against our ICE agents, our law enforcement agents, is being incited, and it needs to stop right now.
A Texas man has been charged after making a threat related to a Charlie Kirk vigil. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce has more.
The 19-year-old suspect suggested in a social media post that he planned to use his truck to disrupt a vigil for Kirk at the University of Texas at San Antonio. As reported by ABC7, an arrest affidavit accuses a suspect of commenting on a Facebook message feed for the San Antonio Young Republicans ahead of the vigil. He wrote, quote, "This is a disgrace, and I can tell you right now, I'm gonna make sure this won't be a good nor comforting vigil y'all watch and see." He added, "You'll see tomorrow, I just wouldn't advise trying to stop a Ford 250 diesel truck." Police conducted a welfare check, during which the suspect reportedly confessed to posting the threat. He was arrested and charged with making a terroristic threat and is being held on a $40,000 bond.
Former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be indicted on criminal charges in federal court in Virginia, and very soon. That's according to MSNBC, whose reporter Ken Delanian wrote Wednesday, quote, "The full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear, but the sources believe that at least one element of the indictment will accuse him of lying to Congress during his testimony on September 30th, 2020, about whether he authorized a leak of information."
President Trump is holding talks in the White House today with Turkish President Erdogan. The talks come as Trump has signaled that he may soon lift a ban on the sale of advanced fighter jets to Turkey. During his first term in 2019, Trump removed Turkey from the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter program. U.S. officials were concerned that after Turkey bought a Russian-made air defense system, the Russian tech could be used to gather data on American fighter jets. But last week, Trump posted on Truth Social that the White House and Turkey are working on many trade and military deals, which include a major F-16 deal and a continuation of the F-35 talks.
New revisions of second quarter economy data far outpaced economic forecasts as shoppers went on a spending spree. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Presa-Giacomo has the numbers.
Revised stats released on Thursday by the Bureau of Economic Analysis show that the economy performed better in the second quarter of 2025 than previously projected. The second quarter of April, May, and June saw a 3.8% increase in gross domestic product. Previous estimates came in at 3%. The Bureau attributes the increase in GDP primarily to a rise in consumer spending. The Bureau said, quote, "The increase in real GDP in the second quarter primarily reflected a decrease in imports, which are a subtraction in the calculation of GDP, and an increase in consumer spending. These movements were partly offset by decreases in investment and exports."
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered hundreds of top military commanders to gather in Virginia next week. About 800 generals and admirals spread across the globe are expected to gather in Quantico, Virginia, to hear from the defense secretary. In his directive, Hegseth did not mention a reason for the gathering of top military brass on short notice. The meeting comes as Hegseth has sought to reform the U.S. military and remove DEI and other social engineering ideas that the secretary says has distracted the military from war fighting.
Russian aircraft flirted with American airspace in Alaska this morning. 2 strategic bombers and 2 fighter jets entered the Alaska Air Identification Zone. In a statement, NORAD officials noted that similar Russian activity, quote, "occurs regularly and is not seen as a threat." This comes amid heightened tensions in the skies as Russian craft have crossed into NATO airspace 3 times this month.
The Trump administration and Elon Musk are teaming up once again, this time to give the U.S. an edge in the AI industry. Daily Wire senior editor Joel Needler has the details.
The federal agency that manages the government's real estate holdings, procurement, and technology services is partnering with Elon Musk's xAI in order to streamline federal workflow. According to Fox News, quote, "The General Services Administration announced on Thursday morning that federal agencies will now have access to Grok 4 and Grok 4 Fast as part of an agreement with xAI. Musk says the deal, which runs through March of 2027, will help drive innovation in the government.
In response to concerns over its cabin air quality, Delta is replacing engine units on its entire fleet of Airbus 320 jets. In recent years, crew members and passengers have reported increased incidents of nausea and even mild brain injuries, which the airline attributes to engine fumes leaking into the cabin. This decision could be part of a broader push toward transparency by the airline industry, although the National Transportation Safety Board still reports that air travel is safer now than ever. High-profile incidents of mechanical failures and close-call incidents have eroded public trust.
Starbucks will be shuttering more stores and slashing 900 more jobs in the U.S. and Canada. The downsizing is part of the coffee giant's turnaround plan begun earlier this year. The company says it will shrink the number of stores by 1%, which amounts to around 200 stores. Execs say after that, they'll begin to renovate and eventually add more locations. The first wave of layoffs came in February when the chain laid off 1,100 employees as part of an effort to redirect money to upgrading stores and adding more baristas to speed up wait times.
Forecasters are projecting that tropical storm Umberto in the Atlantic will grow into a major hurricane that could wreak havoc on the East Coast by early next week. The storm developed overnight, quickly growing from a tropical depression to a named storm with sustained winds of 45 miles per hour. The National Hurricane Center predicts the storm will expand to a Category 3 hurricane by early Monday and then could threaten states like South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia by Tuesday.
And according to a new report, the infamous Coldplay concert couple were not really having an affair. Daily Wire host Reagan Conrad has the story.
So a source close to Kristen Cabot, the female HR manager at Astronomer, claimed in a recent interview with People magazine, "There's nothing to see here." The source claims that Cabot and CEO Andy Byron had an excellent working relationship, a great friendship, but, quote, "there was no affair." Cabot filed for divorce from her husband on August 13th, but the couple had reportedly been amicably separated prior to the viral event. Now, the source acknowledged that the behavior was inappropriate, but stressed that the job loss and the public humiliation that followed were unfair. Her employer, though, Astronomer, disagreed. Soon after the event, the company fired the pair, saying, quote, "Our leaders are expected to set the standard in both conduct and accountability, and recently, that standard was not met." Now, Andy Byron, the former Astronomer CEO caught in the scandal, has not yet commented.
All right, those are your drive home updates today. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it this morning, we covered some major stories, including the anti-ICE attack in Dallas, a COVID-era housing bailout prompting racial discrimination lawsuits, and Democrats digging in despite a looming government shutdown. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow morning with another full edition of Morning Wire.